Yeah, well, Lars, growing up, I always loved to play sports. I love games, and I became an engineer because I loved to solve puzzles. Mm-hmm. But when I was doing sport in school, as a young boy, my teacher taught us two techniques. He taught us this scissor style, this old style of hurtling over the bar.
Right.
And so that was the first technique that was used in the Olympic Games in Athens in 1896. So it's very, very old. And then he also taught us how to do the Western roll or the straddle technique,
right,
which was the classic style at that time. Because I was a tall boy, long arms, long legs, the scissors was so much easier. That's really what I started with. Mm-hmm. And when I reached high school age, at the age of 16, I met my track coach, and the first day of practice, he saw me using the scissor style, which no one else used in high school by that time. And so he came over, and he was upset because he thought I was just playing and not serious. But I explained to him, Coach, this is what I learned as a boy. I've used this for 5 years, and it works okay for me. But he explained to me that if I really wanted to be competitive and stay on the team, I needed to change. And at first, I didn't know exactly what he meant, but he insisted that I learn the classic style and the Western roll. And so, because he's the coach, I'm the student, that's what we began. And so I began to practice that and learn this technique. I hadn't really jumped that way since a young boy, so I was really having a hard time and starting over. And sure enough, in the first track meet that we had, there were maybe 12 schools that were invited. It was a big meet. The opening height for boys was 5 feet, 0 inches, about
150 centimeters.
Yeah. And so I started jumping, and I missed my first attempt, and I tried again. I missed twice, and I missed my third attempt. So I was out of the competition, the first boy in the high jump to lose at the opening height, and so I was the worst jumper on our team, the worst in the conference, maybe in the state of Idaho. So I knew that I had a long ways to go.
Wow. Okay.
And so we continued with this, and I worked for 5 or 6 weeks at this, with this technique. But after so many meets of not really being successful, I asked the coach, I want to go back to the scissors and try one more time.
Right.
And see if I can get a good mark and boost my confidence. And he said, well, don't give up, but it's your decision. And so that's when, in the next meet, I decided that I would try the scissors again, and began jumping. I cleared my best, which was 5 feet 4 inches, about 1 meter 65, and I was very excited. The next height, 5 feet 6 inches, they raised the bar 5 centimeters each time. I had never made this. I knew I had to do something different this time to get over that bar. And so I knew I needed to lift my hips up and get over that bar. And so I leaned back to be able to clear the bar, and it worked. They raised the bar again. I leaned back farther, and that day I changed from sitting up over the bar to laying flat all over the bar, parallel to the bar, just upside down of everyone else. And I improved 15 centimeters that day. So that was the revolution. It made me competitive. I even placed 4th in the competition and scored 1 point. So that was a breakthrough.
Wow.
The next 2 years, I continued to evolve, and I began to lead with my shoulder, go over the bar at an angle, and 2 years later, my last year in high school, I had developed the Fosbury flop so I could arch over the bar, much more efficient, and by that time I was one of the best in the state. So that, you know, that was really the revolution and the evolution of the Fosbury flop, and my coach was good enough to just let me explore and let me innovate. Because I always had good results.
Right.
And I was constantly improving, and so I was fortunate to have a good coach like him. The other coaches, they didn't believe